And welcome. In this video, we are going to learn how to use queries in Microsoft Access. This tutorial is practical oriented, so I encourage you to follow along on your computer as we go ahead. Our database. In this tutorial, we are going to be using the order management database. This database was created in the previous video on database creation and table creation. Also, in the last video we treated how to create a database and basically how to create tables in a database. So already we have a video that covered that. So we are continuing from that database that we created in the previous video. So we are using the order management database. This database has three tables: the customers tables, the employees tables, and the orders tables. These are the three tables that we're going to be using in our query in this video. But first of all, what is a query? What is a query? A query is a request for information from the database. A request for information from the database. So when you want to query a database, that means you are seeking for information from the data stored in the tables of the database. Think of a query as asking access question like, show me all orders, the customers, who made them, and the employees who handled them. So when you make this query, the database is going to show you all the orders in the table, all the customers that placed the order, and all the employees who handled this order. If you look at this information is not going to come from one table. All orders will come from the order table. The customer who placed the order will come from the customer table, while the employee who processed or handled the order is coming from the employees table. But yet they will appear in one view. That's the power of a query. Queries do not store data. They retrieve and organize data dynamically from tables. So when you create a database, it is the table that stores data. Queries can view data. Even though the view may appear like a table, it is not a table. That thing you see on your screen, which is the information you have filtered, is not stored as information or is not stored as data. Because if you do that, that would mean data redundancy. So queries do not store data. They only retrieve or organize data dynamically. But yet you can save your query. So when you want to save your query, what you're actually saving is the code behind the query, the code that will retrieve the data from the tables, but not the data themselves. So why are queries important? Why queries are important? One, in your database system, users do not work directly with tables. Users don't work directly with tables. Tables are basically raw data, so users do not work with them. Tables store data, but queries turn the data into information. Queries don't store data. Tables do rather, but queries now turn this data that are stored in the database tables into useful information. So tables store raw data, but queries turn that data into useful information. Queries also serve as the foundation for forms and reports. Forms and reports are a way of displaying what is stored in the database. Reports, you generate reports on the database tables, but many a times queries and forms are generated from queries that were created. Queries and forms and reports, they are generated from queries. So queries also serve as the foundation for forms and reports. So we are going to be going into the practical sessions of this tutorial. I want you to keep on following. So here is the database we created before, the order management database. If you look at it, we have three tables existing. We have the customer table, employees table, and the order table. Yes, we populated them with few data. If you check the customer table, we have names like John, Ede, Yusuf, Ifan, Okechukwu, Sandra. These are about just 6 records in the customer table. What of the employees tables? We have Maria, Ken, Ada, Oscar, Linda, Bethel. Also 6 the records on the employee table. What of the other table? When you open the other table, we have about 7 records, and you can see it. Also observe that from the employee table, you can see, or call a pivot table, you can see the orders placed by Maria. You can see the orders placed by Maria. You can see that Maria placed an order on the 21st of January for panels and order. If you want to see orders placed by Ken, if you click on this, Ken placed 2 orders, panels and inverter. Ada placed 2 orders also. What of Oscar? Oscar did not place any order. Then Linda placed 1 order, and Bethel did not place any order. So you can see that pivot table. That's not our key. If you also check the customer table, you also see the customer John, he placed 1 order. Customer Ede placed 1 order. Yusuf placed 1 order. Ifan placed 2 orders. Fine placed 2 orders. Then Okechukwu placed no order. Sandra placed 1 order. So this actually from the tables. You can view tables through this pivot table, but that is not our goal for today. So I'm going to close all these tables. Close all. Yeah. Now we want to create query. We want to query these 3 tables. So you go to the tab Create. Then Query Design. It will show you the existing tables in the database. So you add them because we want to make use of them. So I add a customer table. I add the order table. I add the employee table and close the dialog box. So, of course, you know about this, that there is a relationship between the 3 tables. There's a relationship between the 3 tables. The customer table have customer ID as the primary key. The order table have the order ID as the primary key, while the employee table have the employee ID as the primary key. Then, if you go to the order table, you will observe that the customer ID is also appearing here. So, when customer ID, which is the primary key in customer table, appears in order table, that means it is serving as a foreign key here. And also employee ID, which is the primary key in the employee table, is serving as a primary key, a foreign key in this. So there's a relationship. The relationship between the order table and the employee table is on the employee ID. Then the relationship between the customer table and the order table is on the customer ID. So these are our tables. Alright, now we want to query. When you want to query, you have to specify which fields do you want to display in your query. What and what do you want to see when you query these 3 tables? Already they have how many fields? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 fields. I may not want to view all the 17 fields. So probably I want to see the order ID, the order date, then the description of the order and the amount of the order. Then I also want to see the customer who placed the order. I want to see maybe the employee who processed the order. Basically, I want to see only these fields. So I'll go under field. Which field do I want to see first? If I click down here, I'll look for the particular table. Under the order table, I want to see the order ID. The next field I want to view is the order date. The next field I want to view is the order amount. The next thing I want to view is the order description. The next thing I want to view is the customer first name who placed this order. And the last thing I want to now view is the employee first name who placed this order. This is a query. This is a query. So To run the query, I will click on this, run. It shows me all that I selected: order ID, order date, amount, description, first name, customer.firstname, employee.firstname, but I don't like that employee.firstname. I can choose to give it a new caption. I can choose to give them a new caption so that it will not appear this way. So I'll go back to the design view. So I want order date to be order and date separated. So I'll come here. When I select the field, I'll come here at the option, at the caption. I'll write what I want to appear as the column name. So I have it as order date separated. Then under first name for customer, I can just tag it as customer. Then under the first name of employee, I want it to appear as processed by. It appears processed by. Okay, so let me run the query again. Beautiful. You see that under here we now have customer, processed by, order date, and that's great. So let's go back to the design view. We're going to do more. All right, you see the ticked says show, meaning that anything that you ticked good will appear in the query. So for example, I don't want the order ID to appear. I don't want the amount to appear. So I've unticked these two. If I run the query again, you see all I have is order date, description, customer, and processed by. So anything that you untick will not appear in the query, even though it's there, but yet we are not showing it. So, but I want it to show. I will tick them again. Then I want to sort this query in either ascending order or descending order using any of the fields. So I want to use date as the field I want to use to sort. I can say descending order. I want to sort in descending, that is from the latest sales to the earliest sales. So I'll see descending, I'll run it. So I'll see that it started from the 28th of January 2026 to 20th of January 2026. So it has sorted all the transaction order in descending order using the order dates. Then there are other things we can do. I can change it to ascending order. Then criteria. I want to see all the orders that are maybe $400,000 and above. Let me go back to the order table so that we can view something. We can see that we have 800,000, 50,000, 350,000, 2 million, 400,000, and 780,000. So I want to go and view just only the orders that are above 400,000 and above. 400,000 and above, greater than or equal to 400,000. So I'll go back to design. I'll click on run. So it shows me only the orders that are 400,000 and above. 400,000 and above. Okay, I can decide to also, okay, assuming I don't want to sort by, the order date. I want to sort by amount. I want to sort by amount from the least to the highest order. So you see, it's from 400,000, 780, 800, 2 million. So then you can also use or. You can use or greater than 400,000, or you can also say less than 100 or less than 100. So either it's greater than 200,000, 400,000, or less than 100. So let's see our order tables. Is there anything less than 100? Yes, there is 50,000, which is less than 100. So let's go back to our query. Let's run it. So you see, it have included the 50,000, excluding the 350,000, then included the others. So we can use the or criteria. So let me remove this. There is one more query I want us to do before we call it a day. There's what we call querying by parameter. Querying by parameter means by the time you run the query, you will provide a parameter you want to use to query. For instance, I want to query by first name of the customer. So the block bracket, I'll just give a caption that the user can easily understand. I can say customer name. Customer name will appear when this query runs. So when I do this, open a block bracket, then type what you want to appear for the user to understand what you want him or her to provide, then you close it with also a block bracket. So when I run this query now, unlike the other queries, it will first of all ask me for customer name. Remember, I typed customer name, so it's asking me for customer name. So I remember there is a customer called Ede. I'll write Ede to show me the order made by Ede. Then if I go back again, the customer, okay, okay, if I run it again, Sandra, there is a customer called Sandra. I'll type to provide the query of this person. Okay, then there's a customer called Ifeanyi. I'll type Ifeanyi. I'll run the query. Ifeanyi placed 2 orders. So I haven't done this. Like I said, the query does not store data. What query stores is the code behind the query. So let's view the code behind this query. If you go and see SQL view will show you the code behind this query. So when I say I want to save this query, this is what I'm saving, not the data. It is the table that stores the data, but query stores code. So I can come here and say save. I can call it query by name. You know, it's by name that I made this query. Query by name. I say save. So if you now come here, you'll see that a query has been created called query by name. So if I go back to database view, data view, query by name, I type Ifeanyi. It shows me the names. So assuming I close this and also close this, anytime I click on this query, what I will just see is the execution of the query. If I click on it now, it shows me I want Ede, so it filters Ede for me. So this is it about query. We have created a database that contains 3 tables: customer, employees, and other. We have populated with a few data, and in this tutorial today we were able to query this database. We're able to query the 3 tables of this database. So I want you to try and maneuver these things by yourself, practice, and see what are more things, 1 or 2 things we can actually try your hands on, and see how wonderful it can always feel when you see you can do this thing by yourself. Thank you so much. In our next video, we're going to be looking at forms, and then we're also going to be looking at reports. Thank you, and God bless you.